Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time, as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to talk about Sony potentially acquiring FromSoftware, or at least a majority stake in FromSoft, because they're in talks to buy Kadokawa, which is the parent company of FromSoftware, as well as some other developers, including the devs of Octopath Traveler, the RPG maker, I think it was like the pixel game maker, and also the Danganronpa series. If this purchase goes through, they would acquire their 70% share in FromSoftware, which is the majority share. Sony currently owns 14% of FromSoftware after doing a deal back in 2022. They've worked previously with, the Bloodborne series, I guess singular game, not series, but they worked with FromSoftware on Bloodborne. That is a PlayStation exclusive. Tencent owns the other 16%, but if they bought this parent company here, they would own a lot of properties all of a sudden, including, of course, like Octopath Traveler and Danganronpa are pretty good series at this point. Octopath Traveler has two big games that have sold very well. Danganronpa is a really popular franchise, and having that be like a PlayStation exclusive brand would be really fantastic. Now, I did see that this is likely part of Sony's bigger plan to be like in more movies, anime, stuff like that, create more like representation in other forms of media. So likely be utilizing the FromSoftware catalog to make movies, TV series, maybe manga, anime, stuff like that, which I think would be really cool. I think we do already have some like manga series like Bloodborne and such, but I think that they want to kind of expand this into utilizing their own network. They already own so much of a bunch of media franchises. I think they just want to bolster their franchises as much as possible and get as much money out of it as possible, of course, since they are a business. But this would be a really big thing for Sony at the time because they don't really have a lot going for them at the moment. They do have some stuff coming next year. We've got Ghost of Yotei. Of course, we got Grand Theft Auto 6 coming. We're really excited about that, but that one's not specifically Sony exclusive. We've got a couple things in the pipeline for Sony, but I think they do want to make a bigger splash. And acquiring FromSoftware, who is the developer of Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, and you've got like the entire Dark Souls series, Bloodborne. We've got a huge catalog here of games. Also, the Armored Core series that has seen a lot of success, with Armored Core 6 being a really popular game, getting a lot of mainstream appeal, whereas the rest of the series didn't really ever get that mainstream. At this point, FromSoftware is about as mainstream as they have ever been, as successful as they have ever been, and making games at the highest level that they've ever made them, which is really inspiring, and it's really cool to see. I worry about this, of course, for exclusivity stuff, because if they end up getting this developer as well as like the other developers I talked about from Kadokawa, we could see PlayStation exclusive FromSoft games for the rest of time, which I think would be a bad thing. I think it would likely be they would keep a lot of the games multi-platform. I do not think that they would make them all exclusives. I think this would be kind of like a Microsoft move where they bought a bunch of developers so they could have the rights to them, so they can make all the money off of it, but still put it out on different platforms. I think they would do that with everything, with the exception of probably Bloodborne. They might do some other spin-off series like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice was multi-platform, but I bet if they made another game like that, a solo game in the same vein, I think that would be a Sony exclusive one. I don't think this gives us any more hope for a Bloodborne remaster. Sony already owns the rights to Bloodborne. FromSoftware has stated that they want to work on the game and the franchise some more. It's just up to Sony. So I don't think this is really causes to be celebrating, thinking like, oh, we're going to finally get Bloodborne 2. I think FromSoftware would have been just fine to do Bloodborne 2 on their own. But this does give us maybe a little bit of glimmer of hope here, saying, well, now that they actually own FromSoft, maybe they will look into Bloodborne a little bit more. Maybe they'll do a sequel. I wouldn't get our hopes up here, but I guess there is some sliver of hope that we can sprinkle in there, just because that could be really cool. I'm most excited about what this means for them like moving forward with other spin-off games. I do like Bloodborne. I think Sekiro is really cool. As much as I love the Dark Souls series, as much as I love Elden Ring, which pretty much feels like a Dark Souls game at this point, I do love the spin-offs, I think, a little bit more. In my ranking I did way back when on my channel, I ranked every single FromSoft game in like the Bloodborne Souls series and everything, and I put Bloodborne at the very top, with Sekiro at number 2, and then Elden Ring, and then down, so on and so forth. I really enjoy those spin-off games. I like those one-offs, and I would like them to expand those or do something else in that same vein, do something new and interesting. I like what they have been doing so far. So I would like to see what this partnership will bring. Maybe we'll get some more Danganronpa games as well, though that series is really fantastic. pick. I'm excited to see what Octopath Traveler would look like under the Sony umbrella. Hopefully this is a positive thing. I think this is a good move from Sony because they don't have a lot in the pipeline. This could maybe give them some opportunity to do like timed exclusives if they're going to be putting out FromSoftware games on multiple platforms. Maybe this can give you an incentive to buy a PlayStation. Stuff like that I think would be really good for their brand, especially since Microsoft is doing a lot to make some good games coming out. They've got stuff in the pipeline, a bunch of different franchises. You've got Doom coming back, you've got Gears of War coming back. They have a lot going on, whereas Sony's kind of trailing behind. So I think this is probably what they're doing. I'm guessing they'll get it for a pretty good price as well. They've been usually pretty frugal about their purchases. I think Bungie was their most expensive one. I can't remember how much that one was, but nothing close to what Microsoft spent on like Activision Blizzard. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this acquisition. It should go through in a couple weeks if it does in fact go through. So we should be hearing more about this, and I will let you know as soon as I know more about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.